First, we've got to thank our sponsor, and of course that is Corsair and the Corsair One high-performance desktop PC. The i140, i160, and i180 can be found in the link in the description below. So you've probably already seen this in your feed, but you haven't seen it from me. This is ASUS's new RTX 2080 Ti Matrix card. You may or may not have heard of the Matrix. Well, not the movie. You know, we all live in the Matrix. I chose the blue pill, but I digress. That's besides the point. The Matrix was part of the ROG line of products, and that's kind of been replaced with Strix and a couple of other things. You know, the ROG has obviously always been the flagship, especially for the gaming line. But Matrix is something we haven't really seen since like the GTX 980 and the 290X from AMD. It was very robust coolers. It was very over-designed, not over-designed, but over-delivered power delivery. Usually you couldn't scratch that before you ran out of core, clock and stability there. But it was designed to be a heavy-hitting, overclocking, just do what you can do card. Well, it's back. And what they decided to do with this one here is everyone's sort of come up with their own hybrid designs, and that usually just involves putting a Asetek block into the shroud and then having some tubes come out of it going into another Asetek radiator. They've decided to make this a self-contained AIO that is built in-house, that is not based on an Asetek design. So let's go ahead and take a look at the actual cooling plate first. So this is what the cooling plate looks like on an Asetek block. This is actually the cooling plate. The pump would go on top of it. This is what you'll find in any Asetek-based AIO, whether it be on a GPU or a CPU cooler. This is what they came up with for the Matrix. So as you can see, it's got a much more dense, much larger fin array or fin stack that's going to give you better cooling, that has full die coverage, but you'll notice the plate is also really, really big. Well, the reason for that is so that they can cover all of the chips as well. So you can see if we line this guy up right there, you can see not only is it touching the actual die for the GPU, it's touching the memory as well. Because memory overclocking on RTX has actually been pretty impressive. I mean, when we were doing our overclocking competition versus Steve, we pushed our memory all the way up to 1290, I think it was at one point. That's 1290 overclock, or 1.29 gigahertz on top of the already, the speed that it runs at, which is 7,000 megahertz. So it was pretty insane. So what you're able to see right here is a fully self-contained radiator built into the actual cooler. What would typically be the triple fan design on an air-cooled card is just pushing air down through the radiator, also pushing air down onto the VRM directly, which has a heat sink that's on top of that. So it is definitely a hybrid in the sense that it's using both air and water to do the job, but it's not requiring you to use up any sort of fan slots in your system. It's not requiring you to run hoses anywhere. It's 100% maintenance free, but it comes with all the features that you would expect with being a premium ROG product. Of course, it's got ROG. Yes, ROG has ROG, in case you hadn't heard. It has RGB, as you would expect. Of course, it's going to use GPU tweak to overclock and stuff. I believe 1815 megahertz is the out-of-the-box boost clock, and of course, because of GPU 3.0, GPU Boost 3.0, it's definitely going to push farther as the thermals allow, which is the whole point of having an overbuilt cooling system like this. So we can expect to see this coming soon. We don't have pricing information or anything on that yet, which is kind of the theme at CES. You see the cool stuff coming. You don't know exactly when or what the pricing is going to be. But yeah, you can definitely take a look at this as it comes out. Hopefully we'll get to do a review on it. I'm sure ASUS will be able to hook something up so that we can overclock this, see how far it can go, take advantage of the additional power delivery, robustness, we'll make that word, robustness of it. I'm assuming with that we were going to see some increased power limits, and which has been the thing that's unfortunately held back the 2080 Ti in terms of how far you can push it is power. So that's what you can expect from the 2080 Ti Matrix from ASUS ROG. Let me know what you guys think about this in the comments down below. And as always, a huge thank you to our sponsor for sending us here this year, Corsair. Learn more about the Corsair One PC in the link in the description below.